Back guys to another night vision video. Here we're just kind of doing a follow-up with the Somogear Peq-15 in preparation for our review of the Somogear NGAL that's hopefully going to be here soon. Full story coming soon on that, and we'll see if it's as bad or as good as folks are saying. But I figured it's time for an update with the Peq-15 because there's been a lot of hate on Somogear of them breaking, or the lasers stop working, or they're not recoil rated. But as we can see here, ours is still going fairly strong. Now tonight I am simply running 22 long rifle just because it's what I like to shoot at night on my range. I don't know if there's a deer or something walking back behind there, so I don't want an accidental hit on one of those animals. We just try to keep everything pretty safe. Now, looking around, I can tell you that running 22 long rifle on this, you still have the recoil issue with the crane plug. And right now you see I'm actually shooting with the Viz laser. This is to show that the alignment is actually still there, that the Viz and the IR were still slaved. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But moving along, the crane plug is actually still falling out under recoil with the 22 long rifle, like it did with 300 Blackout and 223-556. Now, there is, of course, a fix for that. It's just a little modification that you have to do. But for today, what I really wanted to do was confirm 0 on my slave versus my IR for the Viz, simply because last time that I used my Somogear Peq-15 on a hunt, it was actually about 40 MOA off from what I zeroed with my Viz laser when I took it out that night to try and hunt. I wasn't hitting anything, and it was not a good evening. So pigs did get away that night. Nevertheless, here we did a very solid 0 with our Viz laser at about 40 yards this afternoon. We brought it back out this evening, which is what the footage you're seeing now. Back with the IR, no adjustments were made from the 0, and we're still smacking fairly well, albeit it is about maybe ½ inch low and ½ inch to the right. So I do have to hold just a little bit. Now, I do run 2 optics on this gun right now. One is the Vortex Huey Gen 1, unfortunately, so it's not really rated for night vision. It blooms quite a bit. And the other is a Sealy X Wolf right now that is rated for night vision. But the Sealy X Wolf is currently zeroed for 223-556 at 100, whereas the Vortex Huey we're looking through now is what I zeroed at 40. And that was just so I had a reference point for both lasers to be able to do this. Now, if we look at that IR versus the Huey, as we get closer, we can see it a little bit more blown out, but you can see that the dot is just a little bit low and a little bit to the left. And then here in a second, we're going to go ahead and change out and go back to the aiming laser, and we'll see that nothing's shifted, which I would hope not. I mean, after all, it's just 22, but you can't even see the aiming laser and have to actually look away. It's like, oh, yeah, it's on, because it's right on the dot. I mean, the 0 hasn't been affected one iota. So that's pretty good. But looking ahead at, other things that we've noticed with the Peq-15, we did have a mount that broke, and we had to kind of JB weld that thing back together. That was not too bad, not too great. It's still holding today, but it's not one that I would actively take into a hunting situation or out in the field. The other one, which is the one we're running tonight, is my primary, and it's the one that I was worried lost its slave, but apparently it's still holding well. This is just a couple of our cattle, and we got to check on with these night vision every now and then. And just kind of looking around, we had just real bad weather tonight. Storms are moving in here in Texas, so not been too great of an evening to do this, but I wanted to get out there and test this out, and I figured I might as well make a little film and update you guys, because, a lot of people still want to know, is the Somogear good or is it crap? But one of the things that the NGAL that is coming in soon is hopefully addressing is the illuminator. Now, the illuminator on the Peq-15 is nice and bright, and it's fairly wide. I would personally like it to be a little bit wider. I think it could be a little bit better diffused. You can see here where we're looking at it on full power, it is pretty bloomy, especially because we're dealing with auto gain on the tubes. We're dealing with a camera recorder that's not exactly auto gaining the same. Here we switch to low power, and it looks better on camera, and it looks pretty good actually through the tubes as well. But when we try to punch it out to about 500, oops, accidental flag on the cattle. Don't worry, the gun is empty at this point. But when we try to push it out to that 500 point, it just doesn't quite do well enough that I would be considered a long-range solution. So all the way back there is about 500 yards on that tree line. So that's about it, guys. I still love my Peq-15s. I'm still a Somogear fan, and I think it's great value for what it is. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and check it soon.